gonna make my grandma's pie crust recipe. And the best part is it makes 15 pie crusts that you can keep in the freezer for whenever you need one, especially when the holidays are coming up. So great. Let me show you how to make it. Measuring couldn't be simpler because it takes an entire 5-pound bag of flour. So choose what kind of flour you like. When I'm choosing all-purpose flour, I like to get one that's not enriched and not bleached. But whatever 5-pound bag of flour you have on hand, use that. Now we're going to add 2 tablespoons of salt. And give this a quick mix. I love using a potato masher for this recipe. I have a pastry cutter, but as you can imagine, when you have a bowl this size and this much flour, this guy works better. So mix all that salt into your flour. And now we're going to use Grandma's favorite, Crisco. I know so many of you don't love it, but we're going to use it because that's what Grandma used. And it's a good stable fat for pie crust. I also serve quiches and pies and such to a lot of my friends who are vegan. So if I were to switch to lard or to butter, which I'm not sure that butter would work, but lard would definitely work in this, or tallow. But then I can't serve it to my vegan friends. So I keep it very friendly with Crisco, though I know some of you have very strong opinions about Crisco. It's okay. We don't eat pie every day. I did chill this Crisco since it is still summer here in Texas. I don't normally do that if I'm making it in the winter, but I felt like it was so warm out that this would do much better if I chilled the Crisco. So I'm having a little trouble getting it out, but that's all right. I remember making this pie crust recipe as a little girl in my family. My mom made it, my grandma made it. We just always had pie crust in the freezer because we had family meals together every Sunday with my extended family, you know, with all the cousins and all the things. And so it was nice having pie crust. So now to get this into the flour, we're just going to use the potato masher like we would use a pastry cutter and just press it down in there, shake it off, and just keep going around the bowl, getting that flour combined with the shortening. And it's going to get to be like crumbly. They sometimes call it like pea-sized crumbles and pieces. It's also a good workout. So I like to keep this pie crust in the freezer for quiche, for chicken pot pie for a dinner, especially if you have leftovers that you want to, veggies and chicken and stuff that you want to make into a quick dinner. It's great for all your traditional pies, double crusted pies, lattice pies, cream pies. You can make a lot of things with pie crust. You could make Pop-Tarts. I love making galettes if I'm just feeding like a couple people. And that's just simply one pie crust rolled out very rustic on a cookie sheet. And you just put some filling in the middle, fold it over. Works great with all of like zucchini and tomatoes that come out of the garden. I'm getting out of breath. Okay, we still got a while to go, so hang with me. I would love to know, like, what are your favorite kinds of pies? I used to be a real big cream pie lover, like coconut cream and banana cream. And then I had a time where I had to give up all dairy. And that was not such a fun part, but I had to give up dairy for about 12 years because it just caused so many issues. I had to do a whole lot of gut healing. But After a lot of work, dairy is back on the menu, which I couldn't be more thrilled about because, you know, butter and ice cream. I went 12 years without having ice cream. I really should start working on like a coconut cream pie recipe. I don't think I've really had one since I had to give up dairy. Okay, do you see how this is getting nice and crumbly? Sometimes I find using my hands, when you're using your hands, like just like these big lumps, press them into the flour and then like just kind of crumble it. And that'll help get it in there. So that's really kind of all the ingredients for this. You know, your 5-pound bag of flour, your 3 pounds of Crisco, your 2 tablespoons of salt. And then last, we're going to just add some ice water. So I have a measuring cup with a bunch of water and a bunch of ice getting really cold. And we're going to measure it to 3 cups when it's time, which I think this is pretty close. I don't have any more big clumps in here. This is all like pea-sized. Do you see that? So make a big well in the middle. And then we're going to scoop up, take the ice out of the apple. And I'm laughing at myself. This is only a 2-cup measuring cup. So we're going to do 2 cups. And then let me grab a third. There we go. 3 cups of water. And what I do is I start just kind of filling it in and letting all of that flour just absorb the water. So you don't really want to, you just kind of want to tumble it. The less you work pie crust, and my dad taught me this. My dad was a great pie baker. The less you handle pie crust, the more delicate and flaky it'll be. And the more you manhandle it and like roll it out, it'll get tougher. So the least we can handle this, the better. So I just kind of keep turning it onto itself, scraping it off my hands, because the real wet stuff will stick to your hands. So just kind of peel that off. Get all those crumbles from the bottom and get them mixed in so that they can start getting some of that liquid absorbed into it. We're pretty close. Now, if you need a bowl this size, I believe this is like a 28-inch bowl. Whoops, get back in there. I use this bowl for so many things. It's great for when you have to make stuff for big crowds, like big salads and coleslaw and stuff. But I originally bought it for this pie crust recipe, probably 20 years ago, maybe longer, probably more like 30. I've had it that long. Okay, this is looking great. So now what I do is I kind of know how much pie crust I want, which is usually like a big ball. And then I flatten it into a disc. Then each of these discs are wrapped in saran wrap. And then all the saran wrap discs are going into a Ziploc and going into the freezer. And then when you are ready to bake pie, I will either, like if I know I'm gonna bake it the next day, I'll take it out of the freezer and put it in the refrigerator and let it thaw overnight. Or if I'm wanting to bake that day, I'll take it out of the freezer and let it sit on the counter for about 1 to 2 hours and kind of keep checking it, because you don't want it to get warm. Because if I try to roll this out now, it'd be way too squishy. You want that Crisco to be really cold. And so take it out until it starts just to have some give. And that's when you want to roll it out and make a pie crust. And I just told you not to handle this too much, and I just did that with this one, but that's all right. I'm looking for my kitchen scale. Where do I have that? I'm curious. I kind of noted that the pie crust from the store are around 215 grams. And they're already rolled out pretty thin. So I would say that you would want a disc that is about 250 grams, just to be on the safe side. And I see my scale. Let me grab it. Let's see where this is at, just so you guys have a gauge. Well, that's 322. So I'll probably take some of that off. You don't need it quite that big. Let's go to, I'm trying to get to 250. And I'm curious how many we can make. There we go. Okay, last one. Let's see how many we made. This looks like way more than 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12, 16, 17 pie crusts out of one recipe, so that you can make pie whenever you want, and you don't have to go the hassle of making the dough. You just grab this and throw the filling in, and voila. So let me know if you make it. I hope you do. It's just been the easiest way for me to make pies for so many different events and quiches and tarts and all the things. Honestly, I don't even know how to make a single pie crust. I've only ever used this recipe. It's just that good.